The British Bulldog is going right down Bret the Hitman Hart's throat tonight. I wonder if Lawler could have picked a different time to say that line. Like never. I'm Jarrett with the retro review of WWE In Your House 5 Seasons Beatings. Had it not been for Bret Hart versus the British Bulldog for the WWE Championship and Bret spilling quite a bit of blood, especially for a 1995 WWE pay-per-view, I don't think this would have been thought of as a very good show. In all honesty, had it not been for the opening tag and that championship match, this would have been a fucking dumpster fire, especially since it was very, very close to being just like the October 95 In Your House, but because there was a fucking hog pen match and Ahmed Johnson was there, and there was a lot of bullshit on this show, and a few quick matches. And if you're unfamiliar with the In Your House concept, WWE was trying to compete with WCW since they were gaining momentum. They had smaller card pay-per-views for a cheaper price, and they would have a full card for the, live audience. They would have a dark match or two in the beginning, and then once the main event closed, they would have two more matches just to, justify the pay-per-view price. And then they realized in 96, 97, hey, wait a second, we don't need to do this shit because we can charge full price just like WCW is doing. And then it got to the whole pay-per-view month or two pay-per-views a month, and it got fucking ridiculous. Thankfully, we have the network, so we don't have to pay the full pay-per-view price. But back then, you had to pay the pay-per-view price. The live crowd got to see Savio Vega versus Bob Backlund in 1995. Yikes. And then after the pay-per-view went off the air, we had Goldust versus Duke the Dumpster Droese. Not on a dump truck, thankfully. This is not King of the Road. This was not against a blacktop bully. Dusty Rhodes didn't always have the best ideas, did he? He had some great ideas, and then he did cinematic shit like that, and it was fucking bad. Really bad. That's early cinematic wrestling. That was really fucking bad. And then Barry Horowitz, Hakushi, and the Smoking Guns versus the Body Dons, Isaac Yankem, and Yokozuna. Yokozuna was champion for quite a while in the previous year, and then, in 93 into 94. And by now, he was just in freaking dark matches. As his weight went up, his spot on the card went way, way down. And then we have Vincent Lawler on commentary, and then the aforementioned British Bulldog just, giving Bret Hart forcible oral, apparently, or something. He wanted to... I don't know what the fuck that was on about, but that was really goddamn weird that Lawler said that. And then Razor Ramon and Mari Jannetty versus Sid and Kid, which sounds like, I don't know, some kind of Mega Drive game or Sega Genesis for the American fans, which I am, so I don't know why I said Mega Drive first. Goldust was in the crowd watching Razor, and then he had some hired help, and he gave Todd Pettengill an envelope to hand to Razor. This was going to be when it was Razor versus Goldust for the Intercontinental Championship, but Razor didn't really want to face him because of the whole... Yeah, there were a lot of words that were thrown around about the Goldust character that were pretty fucking shit. This stemmed from 1995 Survivor Series, so just a month before, where Kid had been, antagonizing Razor, and Kid had joined the $1 Million Corporation. Marty got beat up a bit. We get a diving Bulldog for 3 on Sid. On Sid. That's what shocked me. Sid took the pin. And then Razor tried to get 1, 2, 3 Kid. Sid pulled him out. Sid and Kid got away. And this would lead to another match, like just right before Razor would leave. It really weird feud, by the way. Then Lawler introduces Jeff Jarrett, who's briefly back. I think he'd been in the USWA a little bit because they had a working relationship, and then he would soon go to WCW. And the Ain't I Great tour, that was never a tour because it never actually happened. A gold CD for an album that never actually occurred. And then talked about a new album. While his theme music kept playing, apparently Jeff Jarrett thought that he was New Jack, playing the whole thing, like they did in ECW. I gotta say this. Remember all those great moments that Jeff Jarrett had on WWE and WCW television that justified all the television time he got in the 90s? Yeah, me fucking neither. Perennial mid-carder. That's all he was. That's all he fucking was. And he always thought that he was way more than that. He was a good worker, and that was it. He was not charismatic at all. He announces himself as the first participant in the 96 Rumble, and he will win the championship at Mania 12. Thankfully, he never became a world champion in WWE, except he became a 3-time champion in WCW because they were fucking desperate. Thanks, Russo, you fucking idiot. And then we get Ahmed Johnson versus Buddy Landell. Dean Douglas, by the way, was supposed to face off against Ahmed Johnson, but he had a back injury that may or may not have been legit. I don't have a goddamn clue. It's a conspiracy theory. Shane Douglas knows about conspiracy theories because he's a fucking nutty Trumper, and he deserves every bit of ridicule for that. So anyway, yeah, Buddy Landell, who was on the downside of his career, had worked in Smoky Mountain Wrestling recently, and he lost to Ahmed Johnson in 45 seconds. And then Ahmed takes Dean Douglas's paddle and spanks him with it because Ahmed's a bit of a kinky guy, apparently. Then Lawler and Jarrett mock Ahmed, which doesn't go well. Ahmed Johnson, by the way, I'm sorry, fucking terrible promo. He looked great. That was it. He says the term achy breaky wannabe punk a few times to Jeff Jarrett because he was a country singer. And then they lay him out with a CD frame and a chair to the head. And I think Ahmed Johnson actually would have some kidney issues as to why he would need a few weeks off. And then he would really have some kidney issues later. They would force him to relinquish the Intercontinental Championship. Yes, the fact that he held the Intercontinental Championship and then his clone, Ezekiel Jackson, held that, except Ezekiel actually has some charisma. It was a bit of a weird time for the Intercontinental title. But yeah, that was pointless. The promos from Jarrett and Lawler just went on forever before and after this match. Hogpen match, Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Henry O. Godwin, Hillbilly Jim as a ref. I was embarrassed. I felt bad for the pigs. I felt really bad for the pigs. The ring announcer got slopped. I swear that was Tony Chimmel. I fucking swear it was. And if it wasn't, it kind of looked like him. And Helmsley backdrops Henry into the pen, but then gets press slammed into the pen. And those poor pigs, fucking hell, those poor pigs. Anyway, Owen and Cornette, Cornette at ringside versus Diesel. Diesel had beaten up Bret Hart, so you beat up my brother, even though Owen didn't necessarily care. Owen had taken out Shawn because Shawn got beat up by 32 Marines, but actually won because Shawn was pilled up and, alcohol fueled and hating on a Marine's girlfriend. Shawn Michaels didn't give a fuck. Thankfully, he got clean, but goddamn. God fucking damn. Diesel basically was being his, newly heel self. The pyro from Diesel's or the smoke from Diesel's pyro was almost making it look like a goddamn N64 game before the N64 was out. It was just fucking ridiculous. It was actually like Silent Hill for the PS1. There was so much fog. Owen attacks the leg for a bit. Nash looks like he's about to beat Owen. Shoves the ref, pie faces him, and then hits the jackknife. Oh, well, I don't care if I win or lose. I'm going to show, though, that this is a new Diesel. Anyway, Savio Vega with Santa. It turns out to be the future Balls Mahoney as Santa. In the ring, Ted DiBiase is insulting the crowd and then offers to buy Savio Vega. Look, Ted, you can't be buying minorities. The slavery ended a while ago. For good reason. Because it was fucking wrong. Anyway, what's his price? 2 tacos and a burrito, says Lawler. Lawler being ever the, pedo and the racist. God damn it. And stop disparaging Santa was an actual line that Vince McMahon said. And then we get Santa's sack into Savio's back. And Ted bought Santa. He paid Santa off. Not the deadliest Santa. That was in Deadly Games or Dial Code Santa Claus. If you've never seen it and you got Shudder, check it out. Kind of like Home Alone, only a horror version. Somehow more or less horrifying, actually, but pretty goddamn chilling for a French horror movie. Anyway, so we then get this segment was a fucking waste of time, by the way. Mabel with Mo versus The Undertaker. It's a casket match. It's the blow off the whole thing with Mabel and Undertaker. After Mabel had injured Undertaker and he had to wear the Phantom of the Opera thing. By the way, before this, though, Doc Hendricks plugs the WrestleMania arcade game and mentions the price. The Super Nintendo version was $64.99. Remember all those cheap video games back when we were younger? How the fuck did I have any of that stuff? Man, there's a lot of allowance saved up because, mind you, at this time, I was just 14. And then we get the Genesis version and the PlayStation version, $54.99 each. SNES being $10 more. Nintendo, you cheeky people. And this was also when I think it was Kama Mustafa, actually, that melted the Undertaker's urn down into a chain. And then after Undertaker had beaten Kama, Mabel and Mo had taken the chain or whatever, and Mo was wearing it around his neck or whatever, which reminded me of the Roddy Piper line about Mr. T. The only guy in the world I know that wears more chains than his ancestors. Moving on. And Taker and Phantom of the Opera mask, pretty damn cool. Mabel got to meet the casket. And then again in 2014. And it's the pre-match promos, by the way, a little bit later were, kind of telling, given, pre-match promos for this and just various other things. It's weird to see how many dead people were on this show. Or people now, like just how many people would die within a few years. Davey Boy. By the way, Undertaker won, slamming 2 African-American men into a casket. No doubt Mr. Blue Lives Matter, Mr. Trump's stupid fuck, would approve of that. But anyway, Undertaker wins and gains his chain back. He gains the chains. They're mainly on the planes. And then, yeah, Cornette is talking about Davey Boy Smith beating Bret Hart tonight. And Diane, who should have never fucking talked, ever. She looked good, and that's it. Then Bret talks. Bret versus Bulldog with Cornette and Davey. Or Cornette and Diane, rather. And Diane's cheering on Davey. And, yeah, WWE Championship match. And this was really good, very technically sound. There was a step spot where, you know, Bret did the blade job. Bladed way too much. There was blood all over the ring mats in a lot of spots. For 1995, this is fucking gruesome. And all over the ring mat. And also over Davey's tights, because they were the same tights, or at least similar tights to what he wore at SummerSlam 92. And since there was white on there was a lot of goddamn blood. The blood was staining everywhere. Eventually, crucifix pin, 1, 2, 3. Bret retains. Good stuff. And then we get an In Your House extra where Paul Bearer is sniffing the chain. Gross. And then Taker is going to face Bret at the Rumble. Diesel's upset, and this is basically teasing the fact these two guys are going to collide at Mania. If it hadn't been for Bret versus Bulldog, by the way, go out and check that match. Really good shit. They always had great matches. The few times we got to see them face off on television in singles matches or pay-per-view, this was really goddamn good. Rest of the show, though, it was kind of a fucking wash. Anyway, agree, disagree with what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.